And with that, we're on to our headliner. Our headliner tonight is Mel McMahon Stone. Mel is an entrepreneur, radio and TV personality, a local business activist. Mel is a board member of the Indiana chapter of the Tears Foundation, the Better Business Bureau of Central Indiana, and her high school alumni association. She is currently heard on 93.1 WIBC, appears on Wish TV 8's Indie Style, Lifestyle Indie on WFY Channel 20. She also acts as a consultant to several nonprofits, local small businesses, and is a proud member of the 2013 IBJ 40 Under 40 class. She is the Chief Everything Officer of Indiana Originals. Mel travels the state to help local business owners find the resources they need to be successful and help consumers find their local Indiana-based businesses faster. Please welcome Mel to the Spark stage. Woo! Come get it.
In case you needed a reminder of the theme tonight, is this the end? The first best day of my life was February 7th, 2008. That is the day I gave birth to my bouncing baby girl, Ella Therese. She was 7 pounds, 5 ounces, and she was born at 7:15 p.m. There was always something different about her, though. And I remember the first time I looked in her eyes, she looked into my soul. And I said, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. You have a mission. There was always something different about her. She rolled over at 2 weeks. She smiled at 4 weeks. And when I went back to work at 8 weeks old, I remember my mom telling me that when she heard my voice on the radio, she would look around the room for me. She knew that I was close, but she couldn't find me. The worst day of my life, the end, was April 22nd, 2008. I remember that day like someone videotaped my life. I was in a rush that morning. I ran to her to say goodbye, and she looked so peaceful I didn't want to disturb her. So I put my hand on her forehead, and for some reason, I made the sign of the cross with my thumb. And I said, I love you, Ella. And she looked so peaceful. I didn't want to wake her up, so I did not kiss her goodbye. I went to work. It was business as usual. Pretty normal traffic reports for Indianapolis. Pretty normal conversations with my co-hosts. I was sitting on the 4th floor of MS Communications overlooking Monument Circle, watching the sunrise. And I had just submitted my alumni update for my high school newspaper announcing the birth of my baby girl. My phone rang. I recognized the phone number. I answered with a smile. And that smile immediately turned to terror. What did he mean she wasn't breathing? What was he even talking about? These words do not make sense. As the newsroom carried on with their life, my world was ending. It was the end. And my body thought it was the end, and I literally dropped to my knees and could not get myself back up. The ride home felt like it took days. Sitting in that room that they trapped me in the hospital because they thought I did something to my baby felt like years. And when they finally let me in that room, and I was holding her little foot, telling her to wake up, and that ER doctor put his hand on my shoulder, I knew that a lifetime had ended. And I had to give that doctor permission to stop trying to revive her. For me, that was the end. And those losses continued. It was the end of my 4-year relationship with her father. We never recovered. It was the end of my relationship with my best friend of 10 years because she couldn't understand why I couldn't just be happy for her when she told me 6 weeks after my daughter died that she was pregnant. It was the end of my relationship with my parents at the time because no matter what they did, they could not understand what I was going through. And their attempts for comfort didn't matter. It was the end of my faith because I was convinced God kidnapped my child. It was the end of my job, too. I'd started drinking a lot. I was never an alcoholic, but I was really irresponsible. So I would go out, I would drink, I would come home, and I would forget to set my alarm. I'd wake up late, I'd be late for work. And when you do live radio, you cannot be late. And eventually I was late so often they just couldn't depend on me, and I got fired. The next day I was at La Jolla in Broad Ripple, and after a few interactions with the server, the next time she came up to my table, she said, "Excuse me, are you Mel McMahon?" My response was, "I used to be." Because to me, that was my identity. And that had ended too. What I didn't know at the time was that SIDS is a major cause of death of infants between 1 month and 1 year of age. It's sudden and silent. It's unpredictable. It's unpreventable. The baby seems perfectly healthy. It's a diagnosis of exclusion. You have to go through an autopsy. You have to go through an investigation. DCS even came to my house. They took her diapers. They took her bottle. They took her clothes. You go through the trauma all over again. No one knows why this happens. More than 28,000 babies die in this country every year. Parents like me, there's no name for us, by the way. When a child loses a parent, they're an orphan. There's no name for a parent that doesn't have a child anymore. We are in an awful club. 80 babies die in this country every single day. So we get a lot of new members. This year alone, my friend Rachel and her husband joined in March. Courtney and her husband joined in May. Josh and his wife joined in October. And just last week, my friends Kara and Alan also became a part of this horrible, horrible club. You have thousands of people in this world that think it's the end. So why am I here, crying in front of strangers? Lots of friends too. Thank you for being here. Why am I here 11 years, 7 months, and 19 days later? I'm here to tell you and show you that it is not the end. When you are stuck in grief, you think you are the only one like you. You're alone on this island, and no one in the world could possibly understand what you are going through. But nothing could be further from the truth. Every person that experiences a loss asks, what if? For me, it was, what if I stayed home from work that day? Or what if I had kissed her on the forehead and woke her up? If you are stuck in your own grief, I want you to listen closely. No one can answer what would have happened had you made a different decision. No one. Other people made the exact same decisions I did, and their babies have lived. I guarantee someone has made the exact same decisions as you have, and they have had a different outcome. The decisions I was questioning were the best decisions I could have made with what I knew, with my experience, and I'm guessing the decisions you've made in your life are the same. You see, what often keeps us stuck is simply the choice we make to stay put. I didn't know how to act after my baby died. I was miserable, and I was really good at it. And it's really easy to do something you're really good at. And when you start feeling better, you almost feel guilty, right? Because you went through this horrible thing. You're not supposed to feel better. So how do you let yourself feel better? Eventually, I realized I was stuck in my grief because I chose to be there. Over time, with the help of some really good friends, an amazing trauma therapist in Broad Ripple if anyone needs a referral, and my new husband at the time, I figured out that I had to let hope back in my heart. And just because her life ended doesn't mean that mine did. So let's fast forward. Lots of things happened in my life after 2008. When I couldn't fake my life anymore, I got on a plane and I moved to Mexico. I had nothing to lose. I learned a new language. I had the time of my life, and I became ready to come home. I finished grad school. I became an advocate for the fight against infant loss. I met my incredible husband, who is here tonight. In 2014, we launched our own business, and little did I know I was pregnant. And in 2015, we had our rainbow baby. His name is Bennett. This little girl taught me that it is okay to start feeling better. So when you ask me, is it the end? The answer is no. Thank you.
So much. Let me give you a hug. You're awesome.
Don't delay. Get your ticket for the next Sparks event today.